What's going on, everybody? This is Phil, and today I have a special setup video for you. This is all about setting up the floating tremolo on your Fender Stratocaster. Now this one is a 6-bolt, but the concept is somewhat the same as a 2-bolt, and I'll get into that when I do the setup. So let's check this thing out. I'll get a little bit more of a description on how this is going to go. So I've been used to hardtails forever. So I finally picked up this Strat recently, and I had to get used to the tremolo system that I wasn't used to before. And I thought it was a big mystery on how to figure this thing out, but it actually was a little bit easier than I thought. So for this particular one, like I said, this is a 6-point, and this came in as a special request from @Freighter121, who's been extremely supportive of my channel, and he needed a little bit of help setting up his Strat bridge. Now for this one in particular, I did change this bridge out when I first bought this guitar. It had the vintage spacing, it wasn't playing well with the guitar, so I ended up going to the narrow spacing Wilkinson, so I had to learn kind of how to put this thing together. So of course when it came to setting this thing up, I checked some videos out online. One of them that I found was from Ferdua TV. Now, I hope I'm saying that correctly. I'll put a link in the description so you can see it for yourself. But he did a setup on a 6-point tremolo just like this, and it worked out really well. I used his technique, it worked out great. I did a couple other modifications on my own end that made it a little bit easier for me. It worked out great. And the other one, when it came to setting the string tension, was from Carl Verheyen. I'm probably butchering his name, I apologize, but he is an incredible Strat player, and he has a really cool technique for how he does his string tension. I'm not going to do mine like his. He kind of staggers it to get the pitches that he wants when he bends up. I'm not that good of a player, so I'm not going to get into that, but we will do some string tension adjustments. But I'll put his in the description as well, so you can kind of see that, just to see what he does to get those pitches. It's really, really cool. Now I'm going to try to make this as easy as possible. I'll try not to over-explain a bunch of things on it. So we're going to take this thing to the bench. We're going to break it up into 3 parts. One part's going to be setting the plate. One part's going to be spring tension. And the other one, lubricating your friction points. Alright, now let's get over there. Let's get this thing going. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Alright guys, so I have this guitar set up on the bench here. Now the first thing I'm going to do, and hopefully I have a good video of this that you guys can actually see. Here's your 6 points right here. And then from a side camera, I'm trying to get that plate height right here, so it makes it a little bit easier for you to see. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the tension off the strings so I can get this thing down flat, and then we'll go from there. So now you can see my string tension. They're totally freed up. Right here, the plate is sitting flat. So the next thing I'm going to do is take off the springs. I'm going to cut the video here for a second, take out the springs. So this plate is just sitting flat, and that's when we'll start making our adjustments here on the bolts. Now the first order of business, now I have this thing, obviously there's a little bit of tension from the strings just sitting there, but I'm going to hold this thing flat like this, especially because inside my spring tension is kind of stopping it as well. So okay, now that we're ready to start making some adjustments, the first thing I'm going to do is unscrew these screws. I won't take them all out. And the one thing I should stress is you want the right size screwdriver head for these screws so you don't strip them out. It's going to make your life a living hell if you get this part wrong. So this screwdriver fits in there really well. I'm going to just start unscrewing. You don't have to go all the way out, but I'll go up probably 3-4 turns. Okay, now notice I can hold this thing down and it just sits flush on the board. Now this is where the technique starts to come into play. Now the difference between the 6 and the 2, it may seem a little bit more daunting that you have to adjust all these, but the one takeaway I had from Ferdua was that you basically treat it like you just adjust the outside screws like a 2-point. So those are the ones I focus on, and then I take the other 4 and just get them flush to where those are set up to. And you'll be able to feel it with the screwdriver. So essentially I will hold this plate down, and then I'll screw in the outside screws until they just touch the plate. That's essentially it. So you'll screw it down. Might be a little hard to see, but I get it to where it just touches the plate. Same with this one. Just touches the plate. And you could feel it. You could feel it on there. So my two outsides are just touching the plate. You'll be able to see it there. You can also feel it. I don't have anything binding, so it feels pretty good. Next step, I'll take these four and just screw them down until they just touch the plate as well. Now once they're just touching the plates, in the middle four, then I'll back them off one full turn. So again, now that you have the two outside ones touching the plate, barely touching the plate, these ones are loose, all four in the middle. Then we're going to get this thing back up in tune. We're going to put our springs on, get it back up into tune. Then we can start fine-tuning our height the way we want it. Okay, now that my springs are back in, then we're going to get the guitar tuned up, and then we can go from there. Now for this step, when I'm doing the tuning, I want to make sure that I get this thing completely up to tune. Now for these kind of tremolos like this, you're going to tune it up into standard, it'll be completely out of tune. So you want to keep tuning the strings until they're consistent, until they stay in tune. That's kind of a big part of the process. Okay, now that you have your strings back up in tune, the next thing I do now without adjusting these middle four, I want to make sure that I have my plate height where I want it set. So for me, I have it at 1/16, right where the plate ends and it starts to curve up. I check that to the body of the guitar. Alright, so we're on this side. Let me check the other side. Now we're just a hair shy on this outside. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my screwdriver and I'm just going to go out probably 1/8 of a turn. See if I get that even string height on both sides to 1/16. Looking good on that side. Check this side. Perfect, that's exactly where I want it. I take a look on the back, it's even on the back. So we know that our springs are adjusted correctly and our two outside screws are adjusted correctly. Obviously, if I wanted to go higher, 1/8 inch, something like that, I'll back out the screws for the springs and let this get up to a tension I want it to get to. But keep in mind, whenever you do that, you have to restring your guitar, you have to retune your guitar to what pitch you want. So just because I have it like this and I adjust the springs, that's going to screw up my tuning. So you don't want to go too crazy with that. When you do your springs, just take it out a turn or so, go back, retune the guitar, and see where you're at with your height. Once you're happy with your height and your strings are in tune, then you know your spring is adjusted correctly to what you want. For me, my magic number is 1/16. I just like that. I like that height. It doesn't go up all that much. I can do a slight upper vibrato and then down if I need to. So I like my height here. It feels good. It's not binding up anywhere. And again, I only adjusted the outside too. So for the inside ones, now I just tighten them until they barely touch the plate. Retune again. Okay, I have the guitar tuned up the way I want it in E-tuning. I did my outside screws, which felt good. Then I did my spring tension after I got it retuned up. And I have the height that I want. I'm going to double check that. Okay, 1/16 there. Right where that bottom plate reaches. I know it's kind of hard to see, but you want to get that. Right before it curves up, there's a flat spot. I get that part right there. Now I've seen people use, a credit card or something like that they put underneath here to kind of help them and guide them to the height that they want. That can work well too. But for me, I just like doing it with this. 1/16 here. In a 1/16 here, it looks exactly the same. And my back side is even all throughout as far as the height. So I know I properly adjusted this, and it wasn't as daunting as I thought it would be. I thought you had to go through each individual screw. The last piece of the puzzle here is going to be putting string lube underneath the bridge right here on my saddles, and then up at the nut. You can't see the nut, but I'm going to put some on there. Now we'll wipe it off. And retune again. Now from here, give it a good bend, see if it feels good to you, but for this, now I'm bending the heck out of this thing. I could dive bomb it. And it still stays in tune. So the big takeaways for me would be the string lube at your friction points. That's a big one. And also, get out of your head that you have to do all 6 of these screws for adjustment. You really don't. You just have to do the 2 outsides. Once those are set properly, then you can just bring the other ones right down to the plate. So really, you treat this kind of like a 2-point. So I hope that helped. We're going to go ahead and wrap up the video now. I'll kind of recap in the video and then we'll move on from there. So again, I should add full disclaimer. I'm not a luthier. I'm not a tech. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys doing these kind of things. So if you're not comfortable, do not do the adjustment. Take it to a tech. Take it to somebody that completely knows what they're doing. I do not. Again, I just feel comfortable doing it. I tried it a couple times and it worked for me. So hopefully this translates to you. So again, I hope this was really helpful for you guys. Please leave some comments below what you liked, what you didn't like. And again, a lot of this as well is subjective, I understand. My technique may not be the same as a lot of other people. It may not even be the right common technique. I understand that, but it worked for me and this is what I'm using. So if you guys have any other ideas, please put them below. We're here to help each other out. That's at least the point of this. I like to get people together talking and kind of helping each other out through their setups or any demos, sounds, things that you may want to get out of this channel. So without further ado, we're going to wrap up completely. Again, I really appreciate your time. Please hit the like and subscribe button if you like what you saw, and we're going to come out with some more stuff. So why don't you guys go grab a guitar, have some fun, play a little tune, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.